Hello class, this is Dr. Flood back with another video. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to go into Google Scholar and find scholarly peer-reviewed research articles. So follow along with me and I'll show you how. First, you want to make sure that you are signed in to the Wildcat Web. This is going to be important in future steps. All right, once you are signed in, you're going to want to go to Google Scholar. So you could just put Google Scholar in here. And the first, it should be on the top of the list for searches. So press on Google Scholar. All right. And now the first thing that we need, you need to do is first make sure that you are signed into Google Scholar. So as you can see right there, I'm signed in to my, make sure it's your school's Google Scholar. All right. All right. So first what we're going to do is we are going to make it so that Google Scholar is in communication with Bethune-Cookman University. All right. And so just to let you know what Google Scholar is a site that you are going to use in order to find research articles. It's a compository of all kinds of journals, dissertations, theses, white papers, gray papers, quantitative and qualitative studies. It's basically the academic version of Google. All right. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to scroll here to the menu section. We're going to then hit on settings. All right. And then we are going to click on library links. All right. And so when we hit on library links, we're gonna type in Bethune-Cookman University. All right. And so here goes Bethune-Cookman University. We're going to check that off. All right. Then once you do that, we're going to press save. All right. And so now what should happen is that the library, the Carl Swisher Library, the online version, is going to be able to communicate with a Google Scholar. All right. And so this is how this would look. So let's just put in some keyword. Let's put in depression. Let's just put in depression, and let's see if we can't find some articles that are communicating with Bethune-Cookman. Let's see. It should appear on the right-hand side. Let's see. Well, I don't see any here, but there should be there's some links, and the links for accessing Google Scholar are right here. This is where it says PDF and full text, and if it is communicating with Bethune-Cookman's library, what you'll see is Bethune-Cookman underneath this right here on the left-hand side. All right. And so that's the first thing you need to do is to make both Google Scholar and the Carl Swisher Library communicate. All right, so the second thing that we need to do is we need to have a systematic way of finding the peer-reviewed quantitative scholarly articles that you need for your paper. All right, whether you're in my research methods class or if this is your senior thesis course, the steps are going to be the same. So what we're going to do is, when we're in Google Scholar, all right, um, let's let's go back to Google Scholar so you can see how it looks. So we're in Google Scholar, all right, and what we're going to do is we're going to press on the menu button, and we're going to click on to Advanced Search. All right, and in Advanced Search, this is exactly what it sounds like. It's tools and techniques to help you um, get better results. All right, and what we're going to do is, for where it says with all of the words, you're gonna type in one of your variables or both of your variables. So let's just start with one of the variables. I'm going to start with anxiety. All right, so one of my variables is anxiety. So I'm going to type anxiety in here. Where it says the exact phrase, all right, I'm going to put the term experimental. All right, all right. So put the term experimental. Where it says without the words, I'm going to put in a list of words here. All right, and so I have a list of words. These are here in order to make it so that these words do not appear in your searches. All right. Most of the words that I'm going to put here are for what are called qualitative studies or meta-analyses or literature reviews or systematic reviews. These are things that I do not want, because the kinds of questions that you'll have to answer when you're reading your peer-reviewed scholarly articles don't conform to these particular kinds of studies. So let's add in these words. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate each word. We're going to put quotations around each word and separate the words with commas. So let's put in these words. So we have qualitative, comma. Then we have mixed methods, comma. We have case study in parentheses or in quotations, comma. Then we have meta-analyses, a meta-analysis. Then we have meta-synthesis. We also have systematic review. And we have literature review. All right, so now we have all the words that we do not want. And now we have to choose where my words occur. And what we're going to do is you're going to pick in the title of the article. This is going to streamline things so that these words, anxiety and experimental, are going to appear in the title of the article, minus these words that we put in. All right. And then for the return articles dated between. So what I want is, normally in studies, all right, when you get to the master's and doctoral levels, they don't want you to use articles in your literature review that are older than 5 years. However, because this is in the bachelor's level, I'm going to extend that. All right, so you can use studies that are at least 10 years old. So right now it's 2023. So we're going to put 2012 because some of the articles for 2023 aren't in yet. All right. So 2012, and we're going to put 2012 to 2023. Obviously, this will change whenever you're seeing this to the new year, to the next year. All right. So now we have all of our articles. All right. Now, for those who are working with the term African self-consciousness, please reach me after class, because the return articles dated between are going to be a little bit different for you. All right. Okay. So now we are going to press search. And so now we have a number of hopefully articles that are experimental. All right. And so let's look at some of these articles. So we're going to choose one so that so that we could look up and make sure that we are finding the correct kinds of articles. First one I want to draw your attention to before we find the article that we're going to use is that there are links with the titles of information, mostly articles. All right. And on the right side, there are going to be, for some of these, PDFs. What we want to do is focus on the sides that have the links that have PDFs. We don't want to press on this particular article or this article because they don't have any PDF links. So a lot of times those without PDF links, if we press on them, they're going to take you to a paywall a lot of the times. And so you won't be able to read the full article. The ones that have PDFs, you'll be able to click on the PDF and you'll be able to read the entire article, which is what you'll need to do in order to answer the questions for your literature review. So with this, you could also put in, for the words here, right, instead of experimental, right, you can put in also what's called quasi-experimental. All right. So those are the two kind of keywords along with your actual variable title name for your variable. And you could press in here for that as well. All right. And that'll bring up all of the hopefully journal articles, peer-reviewed journal articles that have quasi-experimental in the title, minus the words that we did not want to see in the title. All right. And so I'm going to go back to the term experimental, and we're going to find an article to use. All right. So we are again in Google Scholar, and we have put in to advanced search our search query, and we have received some results. So now we're going to look for an article that hopefully is a peer-reviewed article that is either experimental or quasi-experimental, and it's a quantitative research article. So I'm going to scroll down, and I see this article right here, Effect of Sweet Orange Aroma on Experimental Anxiety in Humans. So this looks like an experimental study. So I want to investigate further. So I'm going to press on this hyperlink right here for the PDF. So let's press on that. All right. And so what I'm going to first do is I'm going to look to make sure this is in a journal, right? So it is in the journal, right? I'm going to read the abstracts. And if you read the abstracts, it pretty much tells you that this is some kind of experimental study. All right. But if you didn't know that, you know, most of your scholarly articles are going to have an abstract. All right. They're going to be over 5 pages long. All right. They're going to have an introduction usually. Sometimes it's titled, sometimes it's not. All right. That introduction is also going to include a brief kind of a literature review, which may be titled as well, or maybe not. Then they're going to have a material or methods section, or what's called a procedure section. All right. They're also going to have a results section, which they conduct some kind of statistical analysis. And then they're going to have a discussion section. All right. And then they are going to have a pretty lengthy, usually references page. All right. Okay. And so now we have this particular article. What I want to do is I want to make sure that this article is a peer-reviewed article, because you're only allowed in my assignments to use peer-reviewed articles. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, once I'm in the PDF link, which I am now, all right, I am going to highlight the the journal's name and copy it. All right. And then I'm going to open up regular old Google. All right. And what I'm going to put in there is I'm going to put in is, all right, and I'm going to paste the name of the journal, which is the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. And I'm going to put is a peer-reviewed let's see if my wants to work with me. Peer-reviewed article. Or is a peer-reviewed journal, I should say. So what I have in here is, and then the name of the journal, a peer-reviewed journal. And then I'm going to press enter. And so a lot of times at the top, it'll say exactly, it'll answer your question exactly, where it'll go, okay, well, the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine is a monthly peer-reviewed medical journal covering alternative medicine. All right, so we now know that this particular journal is peer-reviewed so that we can use the article if it fits with the research that we are trying to compile. Alternatively, we can look over here where it tells us again that this is a monthly peer-reviewed article. All right. Down here, it tells us again that this is a peer-reviewed journal. All right. So we have this in a number of different spots. If you do this like this, you will be able to confirm if the article that you are using is in fact a peer-reviewed article. All right. And and so that's how you would do this particular part in confirming if your article is a peer-reviewed article. Okay, so the next thing that I want to go over with you in trying to accrue different articles for your literature review is some good tips. So here are some tips that I think are going to help you when it comes to compiling this research. So tip one is you want to choose articles that have a shorter length. All right. So this is going to be easier. This is going to be an easier article to review in your literature review assignment. I recommend the article be no longer than 12 pages. Some of these articles can get very lengthy. They could be 20, 30, 40 pages. All right. If they're that long, they're going to have a lot of information, and you're going to have to fully explain what's going on in the article. So if the article is shorter, you have less to explain. Usually those articles kind of get right to the point. All right. So you want to use shorter articles rather than longer articles. Now, obviously, in order for it to be a scholarly article, it has to have at least 5 pages. All right. So, it can't be 4, 3 pages, 2 pages, because those usually aren't scholarly articles. So I would aim for around 10 to 12 pages. All right. If possible. All right. The second tip that's going to make your life easier is that you want to choose articles that only carry out one experiment. So some of these articles have they're doing multiple experiments, and they'll tell you in the article, hey, we did experiment 1, we did this, experiment 2, we did that, blah, blah, blah. All right. Well, when you're reviewing the article, you're going to have to explain all of these different kinds of experiments. All right. And so that's going to make your job harder. So if possible, try and only use articles that only carry out one experiment. All right. Only one experiment. Okay. So now we have an article, right? And what we want to do is we want to save it to our Google Scholar. Specifically, we want to save it to what's called My Library. So let's go back, all right, to where we found this article at. So here's the effect of sweet orange aroma on experimental anxiety in humans. All right. So what we are going to do now is save the article. All right. Press save underneath the article. All right. And when we press save, this dialog box appears called Save to My Library. All right. And we're just going to press done. All right. And so now what happens is that there's a star that is filled in underneath of that article. Oh, it's the wrong article. Okay. I meant for this article. Let's press save once more. All right. So let's press save and let's press done. All right. So now, as you can see, there's a filled in star for the effect of sweet orange aroma on experimental anxiety in humans. All right. And that is how you save an article, all right, to your what's called My Library. To get to My Library, right, we are going to press Google Scholar. Let's go to the menu again. All right, and let's click on My Library. And what you're going to see is you're going to see the articles that you have saved. Okay, so now we're going to learn how to create labels for the articles that are saved into My Library. So let's get out of this so we can kind of see it from the beginning. All right, so now we're in Google Scholar. We're going to go to My Library. All right, and we're going to click on Manage Labels, which is on this left side right here. All right, Manage Labels. All right, then we're going to create a new label. So press Create New Label. And for purposes of your research, I would name the naming conventions for this. I would put something like, variable 1, anxiety. All right, and then press create. All right, so I have one label, variable 1, anxiety, and then I would create a new label, and for this I would put variable 2. Let's say my second variable is depression, so variable 2, depression, create. And I would create a third one. All right, so variables 1 and 2, anxiety and depression. So if you found some articles that had both of these variables, you have a label, basically a folder for those as well. You're going to press create. Now you have these. All right. And so that is how you create labels for labels, aka folders for the articles. Okay, so now we are going to learn how to place articles into those labels, aka folders that we just created. So we're going to scroll back. All right, we're going to go to, start off with Google Scholar. All right. And we are going to go to My Library. All right. And then we're going to press label that's underneath the article. So press label. All right. And I am going to choose a dialog box appears called Edit Labels. And I'm going to choose where that particular article is going to be put into which folder. All right. So this was an article about anxiety. So we're going to put into variable 1, anxiety. All right. And then we are going to press done. All right. And so what we see here is, if we did this correctly, you'll see the label that you put it in, or the folder, right after the title here. So this says variable 1 anxiety. So now we know that that is in that particular label, aka folder. Let's do this for the second one. So so we're going to press label for that one. And let's say we're going to put it into, variable 2 depression label / folder. Press done. And that too, now it has variable 2 depression right after the title. All right. And so that is how you place articles into your labels / folders. Okay, so now let's say we don't know if we've read an article or not. So we need a way to designate if it's on the list to read or if we've already read it. All right, so let's figure out how to do that. So let's go back to Google Scholar so we can start from the top. So when we're in Google Scholar, we're going to then go to My Library, which you can access over here, or you can press on this menu section right here and go to My Library. All right, and then we're going to go to the label on the bottom of the article once more. So let's press on Label, and a dialog box is going to appear. All right, and we are just going to, let's say we did not read this article, we are going to check Reading List. All right, and then we are going to check Done. All right, and what will happen is, if you see right here, now that article, right after the title of the article, it says that this is on the reading list. All right. And a notification will also appear in red next to the reading list on the left side. So you see this red 1 right here. All right. And the notification shows up on Google Scholar also next to My Library. So let's go to Google Scholar once again. And as you see here on My Library, there's this red dot right here that indicates that you have articles that you still haven't read yet, and they're on your reading list. All right, and so this is a comprehensive way on how to use Google Scholar in order to find your research articles, and on how to organize those articles so that you can do your future assignments. I hope this a video was helpful. All right, and y'all have a great day.